The day is Monday, the 12th of August. We are one day removed from Carlton and Hawthorn, one of the worst days of football that I've ever been to as a fan in my life. But I promised myself that I would sit in this chair and we would start this journey now together. So, with that being said, welcome to the first episode of Footy and Stuff, a new little project from me. If you've seen all the other ones, if you know me from the hard tag, if you know me from all the champions, the House of Footy YouTube channel, if you've seen me on the besties, uh, please stick with me for this project. I can assure you that if this one dies anytime soon, it will be quite some time before I host anything sitting in this very chair in this room again. Um, but I digress. I'm calling it Footy and Stuff. Why? Thinking of names is hard. The concept as in and of itself, a football podcast is overdone. Um, and it's a simplish sort of name, Footy and Stuff. What is stuff? I don't exactly know. Maybe this podcast evolves into a thing where I talk about footy and maybe I talk about some other stuff. I don't know. Um, we'll see. I'm waffling. We'll see what happens. Um, but anyway, why am I doing this podcast is a good question. Obviously, reasons out of my control have meant that I'm no longer doing the other two podcasts I was doing. Uh, Stuff happens, but we're here, and I wanted to sort of do something where obviously there was a team of people working on the hard tag, and we had editors and we had I had co-hosts, and you have to line up guests, and there's a lot of moving parts to podcasts like that. And I just wanted to do something now where I can sit in my chair, hit record on the camera, and just speak about football because I love speaking about football. It's one of my good traits. Not always. Some people get annoyed. But anyway, that's what we're here to do. So, welcome to episode one. This will be a weekly podcast, God willing. It will be a weekly podcast. I will force myself to sit in this chair every Monday, maybe a Sunday night, maybe a Tuesday morning if I have to, and get this out. Um, so let's do that. And we're going to start with a round review. This is a very base level podcast. If you have any ideas, if you're watching and you can think of anything that you want me to do as a segment, something new, something that you've seen 100 times before, I don't really care what it is. Bring it to the table. I want to make this fun. It's something fun for me to be able to say, yeah, I did that. That's essentially the point of this pod. So we're going to start with a round review. Um, oof. Do I start with Carlton and Hawthorn and get my trauma out of the way, or do I just do it in order? That is a question. Maybe I start with Carlton and Hawthorn. And depending on the game, I make that a weekly thing. I start with Carlton and do the rest of them. Granted, it's not a Carlton podcast, but it might make it easier for me to just get it out of the way and just rattle everything else off. So let's start with Carlton Hawthorn. My plan for this podcast was to have run sheet ready, notes for every game, so on and so forth. I have none of that. I have notes for Sydney and Collingwood because on Friday night I was like, all right, let's get this started. Let's write some notes. So that's going to be a good in-depth review of that game. In-depth enough. I'm not the Oracle, but Carlton Hawthorn and every other game I have no notes. So this is fun. I like this. Carlton Hawthorn, let's speak from the mind. I am embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that uh, the club came out and dished up what they dished up yesterday. Um, what is the reason? I don't think any of us know down to the finest detail what the reason for this is, because I think there are a variety of reasons. I've seen a lot of um, where we struggle to let go of our past, which I agree with to an extent. I've seen a lot of injury talk, which I think we were poor before the injuries happened, but that's neither here nor there. It definitely made it harder, and we lost by however many points we lost by because of that, 72, 74. I don't even know. I'm trying to block it out. But Yeah, I've seen injury talk. I've seen game plan talk. I've seen Michael Voss talk. Some of the Michael Voss out rhetoric that I'm seeing is just baffling to me. Criticize things he says or things he does, everything you want, but it's very early to be screaming Michael Voss out, especially given what we've seen him do on the flip side of this. That's another story. We can talk about that weeks down the line if it comes to it. Um, yeah, I don't know what the main reason is. The players were not good. That is how football works. If you're not playing good football, you're not going to win the game of football. They looked lethargic. They looked like they didn't want it. They were tired, so tired. And I get part of that is, you lose five players, a lot of your players are going to have to run out the game. If you go on the AFL website and you sort by time on ground, there's a lot of Carlton players at the top of that list. Um, and I actually might go through a couple of those now, just for the sake of it. Jacob Wiedering, 100%, Brody Kemp, 99%, Newman, 98%, Harry Mackay, 94, Hollands, 93. They looked tired, like they were running and running, and by the end, it just looked like they weren't trying because of how like spent these players were. Not an excuse for some of the stuff they dished up, though. It was bad. It was a bad game to be a Carlton supporter and to watch. Am I coming out of the game now? What is the feeling? Am I scared? I don't know if that's the right word. Uh, yeah, it's such a difficult one. I really want to see what the team looks like going into West Coast, and I feel like that might alleviate some of my fears. Because if we field a team that still looks good on paper, still has players in positions that they're suited to, I still think we have the quality to beat West Coast and St Kilda. But we're missing a lot of players now. So if it's looking makeshift, I'm nervous. In terms of Hawthorn, wow, they're good. They're really good at football. They're really good at football. What I will say is I wonder on one hand, I'm like, are they now a premiership threat? Probably, given the form lines and the way they just played that game. Is this the game that we should be looking at and saying, oh yeah, Hawthorn are the real deal because they did this to Carlton? Like, are Carlton that anymore? Maybe not. But Hawthorn are good. They are good, and they're going to cause a stir, depending on what teams they play, what games they play in. Well done to the Hawks. Dylan Moore, outstanding. Josh Weddle was very good. Very what's the word I'm looking for? That was bad for me. Very pleasing to watch Josh Weddle. Like he looks good. Um, Aesthetically pleasing is what I was looking for. He's an aesthetically pleasing player. Um, I thought Matt D'Ambrosio was unbelievably good as well. Probably like all Australian squad of 40 shout now. I don't think he'll make the team, but granted, given where he was at the start of the year, where like he came in and he wasn't setting the world on fire, neither were they, to be fair. And I think he fell out of the team as well at one point. He's like so good, so good. Positives for Carlton because I feel it's necessary for my own sanity to find a positive. Uh, Patrick Cripps is always going to be a positive. I feel like that guy could shoot me in the face, and I would still say, "Yeah, well done, Cripper." Um, yeah, he's just unreal. He tries to drag us out of everything, and there's only so much he can do when the team's in the position they're in. So yeah, Gripper was good. I thought Lockie Cowan was very good. I thought Nick Newman was outstanding, but I love Nick Newman, so I'm biased. Um, and Chugger, Matt Kennedy is just so good. What I wonder with Matt Kennedy now is I feel like he's our most versatile player. Um, Out of the middle there. And now that we've lost two halfbacks and three forwards going into next week, are we at a point where we're going to want to use his versatility, bringing someone like a Jack Carroll into the midfield and utilize Kennedy's versatility off a flank? That's going to be interesting, given the fact that he was probably our best midfielder on the weekend. So we'll see. But yeah, Carlton Hawthorn, I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I'm sad. Please do something. Please just win the next two games of football. And then the rest of it's out of your hands. Please, please win the next two games of football. Let's go back up to Sydney Collingwood then. My God, what a whirlwind. Let's start with Collingwood. First and foremost, this result means that barring a minor miracle, Collingwood are done by a massive minor miracle. I think they need to win both games by significant margins and hope that teams above them blow it. Um, Obviously us, Fremantle, the Bulldogs even. Yeah, it's going to take a lot for Collingwood to get in now. So we're going to say season over for the sake of the argument. For this particular Collingwood side, that is a very good run. Well done. Reigning premiers, amazing year last year, all of that. What on earth was that on Friday night? But they kept control well for a lot of the game, seemed on top of Sydney. But it's now the second week in a row where they've dropped a 5 goal lead and left the game out of their hands. Um, Sydney just ran over the top of them in that last quarter. Carlton ran over the top of them late in that game, and that game was out of Collingwood's hands, as I just said. Like Mitch McGovern kicks the goal, we win the game, and that there is nothing Collingwood can do about that. So it's a frustrating spot for Collingwood fans to be in, I think, where previously they've been as good as anyone, maybe in AFL history, at closing out games of football, and they're now getting to a point where it's getting harder for them to do that. They're somehow struggling to do that. And speaking to Collingwood fans over the last 3 days, the fear with a couple of them is that what they're now going into, and it's not like they haven't dropped leads before. They've just known what to do in those scenarios. And what I'm hearing is that it's quite clearly, and this is pretty true to be fair when you look at it in hindsight, they're not really doing anything different. And teams are finding ways to combat the way they play in late game. They've not done anything different. They're getting found out. So you have to wonder whether they've kind of lost that touch and they need to find another way to win. It's food for thought. Sydney, though, unreal. Terrible for a lot of the game, to be fair. Um, Especially that third quarter, early in the fourth. I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm like, what has happened to this football team? They should be the premiership favourite and they're playing like this and they're letting Collingwood, who probably are on their last legs, given, like, granted, Collingwood were on their last legs. They needed to win to give their season life. So they're going to play out their skin. Um, but they were letting them run all over them. Then Isaac Heaney and Chad Warner came into the picture. And my God, um, Heaney's getting most of the credit. I think Chad Warner was this is the thing. Like, what I feel we've seen from the Swans in the last five or so games, well, 6 games, because I think they've won two of their last six, is a direct correlation between less so Isaac Heaney because he's kind of still been performing to a respectable standard, but not nowhere near the Brownlow form early in the year. But what we've seen, particularly with Chad Warner, is that his form, or form slump rather, um, has lined up with the form of the side. Whether that's a coincidence or not, I think he's the definition of an X factor player, an impact player. He is a superstar. He's a superstar. And I think that end to the game should propel him back into form. I think what he kicked 2 goals. Last quarter was 14 and a goal. Heaney also had 14 and a goal in that last quarter. Just unreal, the two of them. Propel him back into form and hopefully for Swans fans, propel the team back into form as well. Because it was a rough couple of weeks there. And going from clear premiership favourite to might not even make the grand final, might not even make the top four is a tough spot to be in, momentum wise. So I think I'm going to back the Swans in to keep this ball rolling now. Um, a word on free kicks though. I understand the general uproar amongst Pies fans with that late 50. Plainly, it was a 50-meter penalty. Like, it was a 50-meter penalty. Um, I also think that in the same way we criticize Pies fans for getting up in arms about the whole North Melbourne situation, we're now doing the same thing to them and saying, well, granted, not everyone's doing that. A lot of people do think it was 50 meters, including myself. What I will say though is targeting the hypocritical side of some Collingwood fans' uh, stance on this scenario is warranted given how they acted previously. Lots of layers here. Ultimately, it was 50 meters. What I will say, and the key point in this for me, is I don't give a damn whether it was 50 or not from a Collingwood perspective, because they were as much as 27 points ahead in that last quarter. 14 minutes into that last quarter, they had the game here. And you do not drop that lead off the back of umpiring. They played awfully. Blame the playing group as much as you blame the umpiring or leave it, because it's not a good look when you had the game where you had it 14 minutes into that last quarter. And a lot of the Craig McRae stuff is being taken out of context, to be fair, where he said that it would have been paid to the MCG and whatnot, and everyone's getting up in arms about that because I think, well, I haven't watched the full press conference, but I know he definitely put the onus on the team, and he knows damn well it was the team. So people need to loosen up there a bit. But it's the team, it's the playing group. You don't drop that lead off the back of umpiring. So that's my opinion there. Should have been 50 though. And with that, you wonder, do Collingwood win the game? Do they still have a chance at playing finals? It's all very interesting. But we move on. Brisbane GWS. Wow, wow. I fully expected to be sitting in this chair today and looking into this camera and saying Brisbane are going to win this flag so comfortably. It's not even funny. But they've lost their first game in 10 weeks to the Giants. What does this mean in the grand scheme of things? Where does this leave Brisbane? Where does it leave the Giants? Um, is another interesting point. I don't know. I don't know. I think the Giants look good. I think the Giants look really good. They've come back into form. They had a little slump early, but I think they're back in form. Oh, it's such an interesting game to dissect. Obviously, Brisbane started very well. Uh, Kept that lead away from the Giants. Giants got back into it. Brisbane sort of start to get away again. You feel like Brisbane have control of the game at the Gabba, and it just fell apart. So I don't. I still think they're going to win the flag. They're still my favorite to win the flag, I think. But having said that, if you want to be the best team, do you win games like that? It's so interesting. Like, I don't really know what to say about this game because it's not what I expected in the slightest. I wouldn't have given GWS an inch of a chance in this game at the start of the weekend. But they've done it, and they're top four now, and Brisbane aren't top four now. So really, there's about six teams in it, and who knows who's going to win the flag anymore. North Melbourne, West Coast. Wow. North blow it like they've never blown it before. Of course, they've blown it before. They've blown it plenty of times before. But that is just like, geez, you thought they had it won. You're watching it and you thought it was done. Up by as much as, let's have a quick look because I wrote down the Collingwood one, but I didn't write down the North one. They're up by as much as 35 points 10 minutes into the third quarter. So should have had it won. And they didn't, which is unfortunate. Um, yeah, just really good game of football at the end. Real back and forth affair towards the end. Um, well, not back and forth at all. What am I saying? The Eagles kicked like three goals unanswered and won the game. But I mean, credit to the Eagles. You can't really pin it all on North. You got to pin it on the Eagles doing the job and kicking seven final quarter goals and winning the game of football. But it's just it's baffling to me that North let that go because they should have won. They should have won. But Oscar Allen, the scenes at the end of the game were just amazing to watch. Though Oscar Allen just kicking that one out of nowhere and man, uh, another baffling game of football. Early round, it was just very confusing. Freo and Geelong. Um, Tipped Freo. I got 3 out of 9 this week. That is a disgrace. Tipped Freo. Um, should have won. They should have won the game of football and they didn't. I don't really know how to explain that now. They've put themselves in a position now where do they even make finals? The optimist in me says they don't make finals because for Carlton to make it, they probably have to miss. But we'll talk about that later in tips and I don't know. Like Frio, they should have won last week against the Bombers and they should have won this week. And if they win both those games, they're second on the ladder, and we're not talking about Frio uh, as if they're not going to play finals in 2024. But now you're in a position where you play Port Adelaide next week, or the week after, and GWS this week. Um, and you're probably not expected to win either of those purely in terms of who the favorite is. Well, if they make finals, they're going to sneak in by the skin of their teeth. And it's really a reflection of how close this season is. If you give even an inch in terms of losing games of football, you're gonna suffer. We've seen it with Carlton, who are now out of the eight. We've seen it with Fremantle now. We're kind of seeing it with the Bulldogs too, where they've lost that game of football. We'll talk about that later. And they're now on the edge of the eight too. And it's like, well, probably a top four side on quality, but you're sitting seventh. And if you lose the next two games, you might not make finals. Like it's crazy. Anyway, I'm waffling. Geelong, good team performance. No standout players, but they got their job done. And now Geelong top four. If they stay there and they have that double chance, Geelong are good. Geelong are always good. Oh, it's so painful. They're always there. But they're gonna be a hassle for teams. They might be peaking at the right time as well. Um, I guess similarly to 2022, but different because they won obviously like 13 games in a row back then. But they might be peaking at the right time, the Cats, because they did have that slump a few rounds ago as well. Good for them. Essendon Gold Coast. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing. Gold Coast win away from home. Yes, finally. What I will say before I say anything about the game, if you feel the need to be racist to Mac Andrew for anything that happened in a game of football, you've lost your absolute mind and you have no place in our game. Moving on. Game of football. Essendon should have won comfortably. Granted, Gold Coast had opportunities and they took advantage of them, and that's why they won the game of football. But I feel that Essendon were probably missing way too many chances to take the game by the scruff of the neck and run away with it. Just looking at players specifically, like someone like a Jake Stringer had chances to blow the game open. He's kicked one goal, three. I think he missed one or two completely as well. So he's kicked one goal from five or six opportunities. And the team as a whole, like kicking 12 goals, 14 in a game like this, is not going to cut it. In terms of like pure opportunity, like inside 50 62 to 51 is not as blown out as it could be. But I like just watching the game, and I think anyone who watched it would agree, the Bombers should have won the game of football just off the way the two teams were playing. But they didn't. Gold Coast took their opportunities. Mac Andrew was fantastic. Just like they got a real player on their hands. Like taking that risk and throwing him forward however many weeks ago they did it. I don't I don't watch enough Gold Coast to know the exact reasons for why they did that. I know Ben King was out of form, but even he kicked three goals straight yesterday, so really good performance from that forward line. But yeah, they've thrown Mac Andrew forward and he's doing the job. Four goals plus the match winner on the siren. Just cold. Mac Andrew, how about him? Yeah, they got a real swing man on their hands. Like he's going to be important for their push now into competitive areas of the ladder. Real important player. Um, yeah, obviously a big bust up at halftime, which caused a lot of booing to be directed towards Mac Andrew specifically. He was an instigator in that fight for sure. But yeah, real tension on the line, like tension in this game. A lot on the line for both teams. Gold Coast obviously wanted to get the monkey off the back. Essendon probably still were just in that section where if they win, they might still be a A slight chance at finals, and that might now be gone. Um, but yeah, Gold Coast got the job done, and credit to them. They've now got that monkey off the back, as I said. Their next away game is against Richmond, which means they should hopefully add to that. Home game next week. They could end the season on a good run of wins and go into next year looking, well, we'll talk about that when it comes to predictions down the line. But they could do something here. Melbourne Port, I didn't watch it. Did not watch this game of football. I have an Essendon fan in the household. We had Essendon on the TV. Did not watch Melbourne Port. What do I get from just looking at this game on face value, though? Because I haven't watched any highlights or anything. I expected Port to win by more, I think. Glad I got the tip because it was one of three that I got. But yeah, I expected them to win by more, I think. I don't know if that's a Port problem, if that's Melbourne stepping up a little bit more, but given it was 53 to 51, I assume it was a bit of a dire game to watch from an attacking perspective. Player wise, Jason Horne-Francis looks like he took the game by the scruff of the neck and put on an absolute blinder. And that is when he starts to do that more consistently, he's going to be very scary. He's been great this year. Uh, Jason Horne-Francis, he's been really good this year. They've now got a midfield. Horne-Francis performing more consistently alongside Rosie and Butters is scary. And Will Drew as well is there, who's been very good this year. Ollie Wines obviously won't be there for too much longer, nor will Trav Burke. But yeah, that midfield's good. If they put the pieces into place now in terms of forward and back structure, if they get that right, the next few years is going to be hopefully not as disappointing as some of the past few have been for Port fans. But yeah, they got the job done. I guess that's what you really, when you're sitting second on the ladder or in the top four, rather, you just want to get the job done, get that home final, and go from there. So if they get that, we'll see what happens. Melbourne, on the other hand, I mean, look, they're out, so I don't think we expected them to do much. I mean, I had a ninth start of the year, so this is like their 13th now. So I was gonna say like, oh, I'm glad I was right, but I was like giving them too much credit, which is scary. But yeah, no. Melbourne, Port. If Port disappoint their fans, it's going to be in finals. So I think they're going to finish the season strong. Um, but yeah, that was a game of football. No, yeah. Carlton Hawthorn we have spoken about, so let's skip over that. Richmond St Kilda. Okay, so full disclosure, Richmond St Kilda, Adelaide Bulldogs to finish the round Sunday. I did not watch either of these games. If you think that I came home from a Carlton Hawthorn game where we just got flogged and I wanted to watch football or give a damn about football until today, no, no, no. Richmond St Kilda though. So on face value, again, and one of the three tips I got right. St Kilda win comfortably, expected. Richmond have pretty much got number one pick locked up. Is what it is. Rowan Marshall, I've just seen now, kick 3 goals and had 23 touches and 11 marks. He plays like a midfielder, like as in like 23 touches and 3 goals for a ruckman is absurd. Absurdly good. Paddy Dow, 22 and a goal. Oh, Paddy on 74% game time. So like, oh, he came in late, didn't he? He got dropped and then he came in late for someone who was injured, if I'm not mistaken. I can't find who that is now, but yeah, Paddy's had a game. Yeah, Saints spot on. I mean, they've not got anything to play for now, so I guess they're kind of playing with a bit of freedom. They did also play Richmond, who also have nothing to play for and have been the worst team this year. We have to play the Saints in 2 weeks, so we'll see how that goes. But the last game was the Bulldogs and Adelaide. Um, again, confusing. I would have said coming into this pod, I like if the Bulldogs win and the Lions win again. I would have sat in this chair and said it's going to be a Bulldogs and Brisbane grand final. I was pretty convinced that that was where it was going. They looked like the two best teams in the comp to me, at least over the last probably 6 weeks, which I think a 6 week block is a good sort of way to assess where the league is at. And then Brisbane come out and lose, and then the Bulldogs come out and lose to Adelaide. And that is confusing to me. Um, Granted, I didn't watch it, so let's kind of have a look. Well, okay, so 9 goals, 18 is dreadful from the Dogs. They've had one more scoring shot than Adelaide. But this is a problem for the Bulldogs now, where last week they did the same. They're really struggling with their accuracy. So I'm sure if I had to watch this game, the feeling would have been, yeah, the Bulldogs are really good at football around the ground. They're doing their job. They're doing what they need to do to find the opportunities, get the chances, get the ball forward. And then they've kicked 9 goals, 18. So they need to clean that up because evidenced by this game, if you're playing a team that's not about it, you might get over the line. They got over the line against Melbourne with a uh poor accuracy in front of goal. They didn't get over the line against Adelaide because Adelaide were clearly about it on the night. They beat Melbourne by 51 points last week, kicking 15 goals, 20. So it's not going to work every week if you're not kicking straight. Like player specific wise, how did Jamara do? Jamara kicked 1 goal, 0. So where did the inaccuracy come from? Because he kicked 2 goals, 6 last week. So he was one of the main culprits. Bont 2 goals, 2. Sam Darcy 1 goal, 5. Okay, so a lot of it was going through Sam Darcy, and he was not on. And he's a good player as well. When they get that accuracy right, I still think the Dogs are a threat. I'd almost say that I still feel like it could be a Brisbane Bulldogs grand final. But then again, as I said not long ago, there are probably 6 teams that are a real good chance at making the grand final this year. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Adelaide, well done. Credit to them. Darcy Fogarty kicked 5. Keezer kicks 3. He's had a really good block of form. Thilthorpe kicks 2. He looks scary now as well. Dan Curtin kicked 2. Well done. Dan Curtin comes in and has a little impact. Yeah. Um, that's it for the round review. Interesting round. Again, as I said, I got 3 out of 9, so it was kind of like a wow, I didn't expect that kind of round. Granted, if I wasn't a Carlton fan, maybe a lot of people did tip Hawthorn. But yeah, no, 3 out of 9 is just not good for me. But anyway, we move on to a Supercoach review. Let's do that. This will be a lot more fun next year when I can actually do everything in its entirety on this show, build the team, go through week by week, and actually document the changes and do this together. Um, but what you're about to see is a complete team. The team is done. I have no trades. Um, but yeah, next year this segment will be a lot better. For now, I'm just showing you how I did this week and showing you what the team is like. So let's do that. Okay, here we are. Full team, as I said. Um, 0 trades. I scored 2,503, which is not a bad score for me. Um, Granted, some players didn't really perform to the standard I wanted them to perform to. Jai Caldwell, 55, Simpkins, 74, Dempsey, 76, Grundy, 84, Sam Walsh, 89, Lockie Neal, 87, Tom Stewart, 76, Dacos, 66. So these are players that could be performing better. A lot of other players picked up the slack this week. Luke Ryan, 156. Chad Warner went at 164. And I looped Errol Goulden on that Friday night, and I was livid. Livid that I didn't think to go with Warner or even Heaney on 144. Max Gorn was my highest scoring player of the week, 177. Didn't really think to do anything there, maybe because of the opinion I have on Melbourne now, where I don't really think they're um up to scratch in any way. But yeah, I mean, look, the team's the team. It's a full team of premium players. As I said before, this will be a lot more fun next year when I have the opportunity to do this all on the podcast. But yeah, cool. We're done with that. Let's get on to something a little bit more fun. Uh, Not that. We're going to do this first. something a little bit more fun. Not good for the audio listeners. I do apologize. Um, Not good for the audio listeners at all. If you want to be involved in viewing this, um, go onto the YouTube video. Otherwise, just listen to me talk. I'll try and talk as much as I can in the thought process. What I'm doing is there is a quiz on the listener website. Do check it out, articles.listener.com. And it is, can you name every current Premiership player? I saw this during the week. And I decided I'm going to wait because I know I'm recording this podcast and I know I want to do a segment like this, sort of. And we're going to do it on the pod. So, 107 current Premiership players in the AFL. I want to do this now. I want to get at least 70, 80, maybe. There's, there's going to be some rogue ones, but I'm pretty confident. So we're going to do it. I've got 15 minutes. I feel like I'm probably going to call it early once I'm really stumped, but we're going to do it. Let's go. Three, two, one, go. I feel like the best tactic here is to go team order and not jump around because that's going to make it more confusing. So let's go Collingwood first. Dacos will knock out two. We'll go Pendlebury. Crisp. Mitchell. Knocking out midfielders first. Lipinski. They got side bottom on a wing. Backline. Maynard. Stephen May, thank you. Maynard. Moore. Waynor. Howe. Johnny Noble didn't play. Oleg Markov did play. I wonder actually if this is coming through computer audio now and there's a lot of tip tapping. I could connect the mic now. I could do that. But I've not, and I've started, and I'm wasting time now. Uh, Collingwood defenders. Am I missing any others? Murphy played, but he's not a player anymore, so that is not someone to go with. Collingwood defenders. Let's just go to the forward line. Myercheck. Hill won the norm. That's probably giving me Brad Hill further down as well, now that I think of it. Elliott. McCreary. Spell that right. There's a player in between Hill and Howe. He. Ho. Oh, I sound stupid. HIJK. It doesn't start with JK or L. So, or M or N. So it's either an HI or an HO. He. I'm done. Rucks. Cox. Cameron. Good. McStay didn't play. Frampton. He's on the picture, is he not? Oh my Lord. Almost forgot the guy on the picture. I'm missing two Collingwood players. I'm missing two Collingwood players. One starts with H, one starts with DeGoey. We just need an H. I don't want to spend too long on it, but I will get it. Feels like I'm missing a defender. Starting with H. Or a mid, maybe. I'm going to spend too long on it. Let's think of the Brisbane one, actually. Dunkley. Josh Dunkley is, yeah, nice. Essendon, Premiership player. Jake Stringer. We talked about him on the pod. Lovely. Fremantle, Premiership player. Geelong, Brayshaw, Young. These are all Fremantle players. Luke Ryan. None of them won flags because they've all only played for Freo. Did Jordan Clark play for Geelong? Did I get that? No. Fife, no. Mickey Walters, no. I'm just thinking of old players, but they've all only played for Fremantle. We're gonna skip that for now. We're gonna skip that. Geelong, pretty much an entire Premiership team. Where do we start? Midfielders. Dangerfield. Oh, I should do this up here. I've spelled Dangerfield wrong. Dangerfield. That is all. Guthrie. Parfitt. On the wings, Max Holmes. Max Holmes did Didn't play. Oh, did he get injured? He got injured. Never mind. Isaac Smith no longer plays for Geelong. Brian Myers, Hawkins. We got Jeremy Cameron because of Darcy Cameron. Stengel, De Koning, Stewart. Oh, Kolajasny. Okay. Kolajasnij. Oh, that might be the greatest thing that ever happens on this podcast, and it's happened in episode one. I just felt Kolajasny right on the first go. Um, Defenders from Geelong. Who have I got? Kolajasny, Stewart, De Koning. Is that it? Who are their smaller defenders? Is it Jed Hughes? I wouldn't. Yeah, sure. Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins. Mark O'Connor. This is good for me. I'm missing one, two, three, four, five, six Geelong players. That is too many for my liking. But maybe we bounce back. Oh, if I got, I typed Guthrie and it gives you both. I was like, have I got Zach Guthrie? Mitch Nevitt? No, Reece Stanley definitely played, actually. There we go. Let's jump back to Geelong later. There's a Gold Coast player who's won a flag. Brandon Ellis is the answer. Yes, very good. Hawthorn, three. Three Hawthorn players. Gunston, Bruce, Hawthorn? Flag winners. There's got to be another old player there who played when they won that flag. Or those flags, rather. Hawthorn flag winners. For the audio listeners, I'm on 42 out of 107 right now. With 9 minutes to go. Melbourne, let's do Melbourne. Let's do Melbourne. I've got Stephen May, Lever, Petrarca, Gorn, Oliver, Rich, Hickett, Sparrow, Jimmy Jordan plays for Sydney now, so he'll be put in there. Luke Parker plays for Sydney. Let's just do that now. Melbourne players. Jake Bowie. Judd McVie didn't play. Ed Langdon played. So did Lockie Hunter. That's a lot of Melbourne players in one go. And I feel like we're running out of time, so I'm going to jump ahead even further. Port Adelaide. Port players won the flag. Willie Rioli has won the flag. Port. Dixon, Marshall, Finlayson. No, Geovers didn't win the flag. Boak, no. Gray. Maybe Gray doesn't play for Port anymore. What am I doing? I'm wasting time. That's what I'm doing. Richmond. I can knock this out very fast. Who have I got from Richmond so far? Because it's giving me Pickett and Rioli from dual names. Martin. Okay. Lynch. It's literally their whole squad. Why am I blanking? Gloston, Grimes, Broad. Uh, Bolton, Graham, Baker, McIntosh, Bolter. Where are we at with Richmond? We're missing three. I'm comfortable to move on and try and get more. St Kilda, Brad Hill, we've got. Jack Steele, no. I really don't want to waste a lot of time there when I've got full teams down here. West Coast and the Bulldogs have half teams. Cripps. I only remembered him first because I saw it's his 250th this week earlier. Gaff didn't play. That's right, he didn't play. Um, okay, so now I've rattled myself. This is not good. Darling, Duggan. Who plays for West Coast? Barras, McGovern, Yo, Kelly? No, Kelly was at Geelong. Um, Petrocelli. God, that'd be a steal. I feel like I spelled that wrong. He's a 1T. No, he didn't. He didn't play. Um, Ryan. Who played for the Eagles? Sorry, that was a big pause for audio listeners. Who played for the Eagles? Wow. How many have I got is the question. I'm only missing two. I'm comfortable with that. Bulldogs. Bontempelli, Liberatore, Taylor Duray, uh, Aaron Norton wasn't that early. No, he's young as hell. Um, I'm on 77. I said I wanted 80, so we're tracking well. Actually, when we get to 80, I'll give it one more crack down the list and then I might keep up. But I need to get to 80. Bulldogs. Bont, Libba, Duray, Trelaw. Wait, no, Collingwood didn't win one and he came late. Um, wow. Bulldogs. Bulldogs. I'm trying to picture that team. Like the way it was. Caleb Daniel played, for sure. Did Bailey Dale play? Bulldogs. Forward line. Stringer we've got, but he's at another team. How many am I missing? Who played in that Bulldogs thing? Roughhead is retired. Zane Cordy plays for St Kilda. Yes, that's a steal. Um, wow. This is a tough time. This is a tough time. Bulldogs, I feel like there's obvious, like real dead obvious ones that I'm missing in the Bulldogs that I can't think of for the life of me. Bulldogs. Bulldogs. Who plays for the Bulldogs? They're like one of my flag fancies, and I can't think of who plays for that team. Who's a midfielder at the Western Bulldogs? I feel like there's someone in there. Libba, Bont, Trelaw. That's it. Wow. Let's go back up the list and try and work out. Collingwood, I'm missing just one player. Starts with H. Here, here, hin, hip, hipwood. Hin, him, hip, hick, here, hiss. Who played for Collingwood in that team? I'm going further down. Freo, Jordan Clark, Jordan Clark. Geelong, Buse. There's another B. Br, bo, buh. I've lost it. I've actually lost it. Um, Hawthorn. I'm missing one. Who's in Hawthorn's team right now? Scrimshaw, Sicily. Did James Sicily play in either of those flags? No. Newcomb, Mitch Lewis, Nick Watson, Jack Ginnivan. Oh, that's my 80. I'm giving up. This that was great. Hoskin Elliott. That makes sense. Luke Jackson at Freo played for Melbourne. Yeah. Blitzar's close. Duncan, Henry, Rowan, Tui, Ben Brown. Wow. Um, oh dear, there's a couple of bad ones in here. Tom McDonald, Neil Bullen, Petty, Rivers, Salem, Spargo, Viney. I didn't even look at North Melbourne there. That was all Melbourne to me. Liam Shields, I probably could have gotten. Soldo at Port. Yes, he does play for Port Adelaide now. Well done. I forgot the Richmond captain, which is a bit embarrassing. Nank, Prestia, Short, Dan Butler. Yes. Tom Cole. Yeah. Yeah, he's actually, yeah. Yeah. I didn't know he played in that game. Dom She Dom She Dom She does in fact have a place in grand final folklore, and I didn't put him there. Harms, Johannesson, McRae. Forgive me for forgetting Jack McRae, because clearly Bevo's forgotten about him as well. That was fun. That was good. Um, all right. Let's boot this baby home with some tips. Oh boy, this is the ladder. Sydney, Port Adelaide, GWS, Geelong, Brisbane, Freo, Bulldogs, Hawthorn, Carlton sitting nice outside, and I think everyone below that is really asking for a miracle if they want to make finals. But we start with Essendon and Sydney. Sydney should win. They're probably the better team. They've got a bit of momentum back from that Collingwood game. Essendon, I would have thought being the home team at Docklands would help them. I think they're very good there. I think they're still very good there. People are going to give them less credit now, but that Gold Coast game is just going to, yeah. I'm tipping Sydney by 20. Oh, they always play close games, don't they? It's like a whole thing. Some of the close games they've played, no, I'll go a bit closer. Let's go Sydney by 9 points. Bit of a spicy one on a Friday night. I assume that's the Friday night game, and this is in order. Anyway, Gold Coast, Melbourne at People First Stadium. Um, yeah, look, momentum. They're going to be flying after what they dished up, and it's at home. I'm tipping the Gold Coast Suns in that game by 20 points. GWS Fremantle, huge ramifications. If Freo win this, it probably makes Carlton's job really difficult. Probably it does. It makes their job very difficult because we're kind of hoping that that's where we make our way back into the eight if we win two games. It's in our own hands. We need to win both our games still. Um, I think the Giants are going to win at home. They can't beat Brisbane at the Gabba and then not go back to NG Stadium and just dispatch of Fremantle. They can't, can they? So I'm gonna go the Giants. And I'm gonna say they win comfortably as well. 38 points. Wow. Saturday Arvo, Collingwood, Brisbane. Um, look, Brisbane are still the team I think that I still think they're gonna win the flag. Collingwood now, this is like it was do or die for them last week because now it's like they need a minor miracle, as I said before. So they're gonna come out, they're gonna play. And it's a grand final rematch at the G. I think Brisbane get their revenge. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's just going to be one of those games that they need to win if they're the real deal, and they're going to do that. I think they're going to win by 2 goals. St Kilda Geelong at Docklands. Geelong don't play a lot at Docklands. They don't. But they're looking good, and St Kilda have nothing to play for. Absolutely nothing to play for. I guess if they want to keep that position above Adelaide, they can play. But I mean, what are you against a team like Geelong who are really fighting for that top four spot? They're going to want it. So I say Geelong win this by 35 points. Showdown. You never just go straight to the favourite in a game like this, do you? Like it should be Port Adelaide. But then you just close your eyes and you think, wow, Jordan Dawson is coming back. Port Adelaide are going to win this game. I think they're going to win this game. If Port Adelaide let their fans down, it's not going to be now. It's going to be in finals. Let's be real. So I'm going to tip Port Adelaide to sort of remain comfortable in the top two till next week when they play Freo, and it might go pear-shaped, for lack of a better descriptor. Sorry for the pun. Um, but yeah, Port Adelaide, top two, comfortable. The Bulldogs are just going to whitewash. Well, they're going to wipe the floor with North at Docklands, I think. This is my thing. How long can you be inaccurate for, right? Like they've been awfully inaccurate, and if they have another inaccurate game like that, where they kick 9 goals, 18 or whatever they kicked, maybe they only win by 30 points because I don't think North will be able to keep up. I don't think they will. Midfield's very good at North, to be fair. I think the midfield battle will actually be good. But I think the Bulldogs are just a really good football team who can't kick. That is my observation. Granted, I didn't watch them on Sunday, but I will watch them this time, I think. Oh wait, no, is it Saturday night? Oh no, it's early Sunday. That's good. I'm going to tip the Bulldogs by 58 points. I think that's the safest way to go. Would have won by more a few years ago, North fans. So you're on the right track. Hawthorn Richmond, this will be a blowout. If we're losing to Hawthorn by 74 points, granted circumstances out of our control, we were very bad. We might have lost to Richmond yesterday. I'm going to tip Hawthorn by a lot of points. My cursor doesn't really go far enough to tip him by any more than 80. So I'll just tip him by 70. But yeah, Hawthorn, real deal. Last game of the round. My opinion may change when I see the Carlton team because I don't really know what the changes are going to be, what players are actually playing, how makeshift it'll be, how we'll respond in terms of what the coach says in press conferences, what the rhetoric is, what the overall mood at the club is. There are a lot of factors that we need to get right going into next weekend. We have to win. We have to win. I'm delusional. We're all delusional. We're a stupid fan base. We put ourselves through this. We have to win this game of football. I'm going to tip Carlton by. It's not going to be pretty. It's never pretty anymore. We're going to win by 22 points. And guess I was back in the eight, thanks to Freo. Just win the games of football you're meant to win, Carlton Football Club, please. So at the end of the round, the way I have it sitting, Sydney on top, Port Gerberson along the top four, so that doesn't change. I think that's what it is right now. They make up the top four. Brisbane, having won, are still fifth. Need to beat Essendon in round 24. That'll be a good game. That'll be fun. Imagine Essendon, despite not making finals, ruin Brisbane's life and send them into an elimination final. That'd be crazy. Bulldogs, Hawthorn, and then Carlton. Oh God, if we play Brisbane in an away elimination final, that might just be the end of me. But we're looking too far ahead. Cool. Tips done. Amazing. So with that, we are done here. Thank you for watching the first episode. I don't know how waffly this has been. I think my attempt over the weeks coming is to make this a more... I don't want to waffle, but I'm a waffler. That's what I am. I'm a wog waffler. I talk a lot. So this will be waffle a lot of the time. But I will work on that. I will make this a more pleasurable listening experience as we progress. But I will be back next week, and this will be a thing that will continue to happen. Thank you for watching. Please stick around. Please like, subscribe, share it if you please. I don't know where you would do that, but I would appreciate it. Comment. What do you want to see from this pod? Because this was a very sort of baseline, like I've reviewed the round at a little Supercoach review. I did the little quiz. Let me know if you enjoy that or if you want that to die, because that could have been a tough watch. Tips. It was a very baseline sort of podcast. What do you want to see from this going forward, if you're watching, and if you have the ability to give that feedback? But anyway, that's me done. I will see you next week. Go Blues, hopefully. Would love to not be sitting in this chair next week crying about how we have lost to a rebuilding Eagles side in Perth and ruined all our finals hopes and dreams. So, fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But yeah, we're done here. Thanks for watching. See you later.